Hi there. My name is Myrna Loy, founding and managing director of Blackbright News, which is a magazine designed to negate the negative stereotype. And it can be found at www.issuu.com/Blackbright News. Now, today's video is about prejudice and the awful word racism and bias. And I'm going to show you a short clip, and I'm going to try to explain why racism and bias occurs. Okay, so here we go.
So then, Mr. Taylor, had you seen the Jennings before? Had you met them? Do you live on the same street?
Your Honor, I had not met them before. I live a couple of streets over.
Okay, and I understand you're one of the neighborhood watchmen in charge of the neighborhood watch?
Yes, I was an aerospace engineer. I retired about 3 years ago and became president of the Neighborhood Watch Association. So,
okay, and what do you do as president of the Neighborhood Watch Association?
well, it's primarily coordinating the volunteers, the people that want to patrol the neighborhood. We've had a number of problems over the years in terms of burglaries and so on, and so a number of citizens decided to form the committee.
And when's the last burglary in your neighborhood?
Oh, about 6 months ago.
Okay.
It was just one street over.
Okay, and so what do you do in the patrol? You know, what are you supposed to do? What are the rules that you have to abide by?
Well, we all use our own personal vehicles. We have a shift that we
Do you have a sign that says neighborhood patrol, or is it just your own car?
It's just our own car.
Okay.
And what we do is we generally, from like 12 o'clock to about 4 in the morning, we cruise up and down.
You take shifts?
We do.
Okay.
We do. It's a fairly large neighborhood in terms of a homeowners association. There's probably about 75, 80 homes.
So then why don't you tell me, Mrs. Jennings, what happened?
I woke up, it was midnight, and I guess my son will tell you what happened to him exactly. But I woke up to hearing him screaming. I go down to the kitchen. He's pretty much unconscious, and I had to call the ambulance.
Oh my
He was struck by this man who had a shovel. Who does that to people, especially an old child? And that's why I'm here.
Damien, why don't you tell me what happened?
Ma'am, I was coming home we had a preseason football party, pretty much, me and a couple of the players.
What time was it?
This was I was coming home around 11:30ish.
Was that within your curfew?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'd actually just got off the phone with my mother. I was walking, and I got about 3 houses down, and I noticed a car behind me with their lights on. Where I'm from, usually you see a car behind you. The creeping at this time of night, that means get out of Dodge. So I immediately ran towards my drive-thru and was going to open my door when I noticed that the car had actually came up and stopped and turned its lights off. So at this point, I'm fumbling. I'm trying to get my keys open. And then the next thing I know, I hear...
Were you on the phone with your mom? Did you try to call your mom and say, Mom, I think somebody's following me?
No, ma'am. At this point, I was just trying to get in the house.
Have you ever been in trouble before?
No, ma'am.
Or never been arrested for anything?
No, ma'am.
You just knew that it was not a good thing that somebody was following you?
Right.
Okay. Was it because of the color of your skin that you were scared, or was it you were just freaked out because somebody's following you?
I would say more so instinct, because back where I'm from originally, things like the last time somebody pulls up behind you.
I see. I hear you. Okay, so then you hurry up, you run to the house, you're fumbling, trying to get your keys, and what happened?
The last thing I heard was some footsteps behind me, and then the next thing I know, I wake up and there's the paramedics, and he's standing there. My mother is talking to him, and he's just pretty much going on about how I didn't belong in the neighborhood. He didn't know who I was. I was just a figure.
So you don't remember what happened to you?
No, ma'am.
So the next thing you know, you just woke up and you were on the floor and the paramedics were there and your mom was there.
Yes. Coming up.
What happened, Mr. Taylor? Were you following him?
I was not. I was on normal patrol, and it wasn't 11:30. It was more like around 12:30.
What time was it, Mrs. Jennings?
Oh, it was approaching about 12 o'clock. He called me at 11:30 and told me he was on his way home.
Okay, I see. So it was approaching 12 o'clock. So he was walking. Did he walk home from the high? Did you walk home from the high school?
I walked home from a friend's house a few blocks there.
All right. So were you the car that was following him?
I was the car. I was just on normal patrol. I saw about...
Were you doing anything suspicious?
What I first saw, it was a dark evening. There was no moon. What I saw first was just a figure, a shadow. As I got a little closer and I had my lights on, I could see that it was a young black man. We don't have
What were you wearing, Damien?
I had on my football letterman jacket in high school. Was my high school logo on the back of it.
Okay, and you were in jeans and
Yes.
sneakers?
Jeans and sneakers and my letterman jacket.
Okay. And so did you recognize that he was wearing a high school jacket?
Unfortunately, I didn't. We don't have any black families that live in the neighborhood. So this was a person that was out of place.
So wrong.
Out of place because you had never seen him before? Or because he looked dangerous? Or because he was just walking down the street?
He was.
Did he look dangerous?
He aroused my suspicion.
Why did he arouse your suspicion?
2 reasons. First of all, 3 reasons. First, I didn't know him. Secondly, he was black, and we don't have any black
Your Honor,
families.
he's just a trigger happy vigilante. Really, that's what you are. You're a vigilante.
No, absolutely not. I'm protecting the community.
And you're a bit of a creep.
Okay, Mr. Taylor, so he aroused your suspicion because he was black.
Okay, I'm going to stop it there because I think you get the general idea of what was happening in that. And as human beings, we are all programmed to bias, you know, based on our upbringing. We tend to kind of categorize people and make judgments, just like that gentleman did. He obviously lives in a white neighborhood. They've seen a black man walking on the street. He's not aware that he lives in this house, or so he claims, and so he decides to smash his head with a shovel. If I was to go on with that video, which would take a bit too long, he didn't ask any questions. He didn't ask what he was doing at the house. He didn't say anything to him. As he was getting his keys because he was scared, he just hit him over the head with a shovel and started hitting him with a shovel. I think it just shows the racism and bias, and it is such a shame. I mean, to be honest, I'm black, and fortunately I experienced racism once in my lifetime, and I'm well into my senior years. And I remember walking in Hammersmith, and this was going, like I say, about 1980s, I think it was. And these guys drove past and said, "You effing wog." And I remember how that made me feel. It made me feel dirty. It made me feel frightened. It made me feel so uncomfortable. I found that I was looking over my shoulder. And I remember a few weeks ago when this Brexit thing came out. And I remember how that made me feel when we saw these signs about get rid of the immigrants. Now, I'm born here, but will anybody know that? Nobody won't know that I'm not an immigrant. Nobody won't know that I was born in this country. I have a black skin. And that's all sometimes, that's all they're concerned with sometimes when people are racist and they have this stereotype and this thought in their mind that we're all the same, that we're all a threat, that we're all angry, that we're all hostile, that we're all evil. Whatever it is, whatever stereotype they have in their minds. You know, I'm not quite sure how you change that bias apart from education, but a lot of people, they don't want to be educated about that. I remember when I moved into an all-white neighbourhood in the area I'm living now, and when I moved there, the next door neighbour told me he was going to set his pit bulls on me. And he also said that he's a DJ and he plays really loud music and I wouldn't be able to sleep. And I remember responding to him by saying, I'm a DJ too, so maybe we can have a clash. I made a joke out of it. But what happened is I was in that house for about 11 years. And over those years, he got to know me. He even came over to help me. When I went on holiday, he'd put out my bins. You know what I mean? And it was about him getting to know me and not realizing that I don't know what he thought. Maybe he thought I was going to bring down the neighborhood, but judging on his house, you know, I don't think he could think that way. But I don't know what people think when they see black people move in. I mean, there's good and bad in every community, in every society, in every race. there's good and bad. So when you're making judgments like that, it's really unfair on the people who are being victimized. And you know, we have the police doing it all the time. Like I said in another video, police stopped a car and said, "Oh, you're okay, you're not black, we're not going to shoot you." And you can imagine, you think you've moved away from that, you know, years and years of slavery where people were openly victimized, and you could kind of understand that position. But it's much more difficult to understand racism in a time where people are meant to be educated and are meant to be, you know, more aware. And, you know, they see people on TV, they see the programs, they see the humour, they see, you know, the abilities and strengths of black people, and yet they still have, some people still have this innate fear of what black people are and what they can do. And it's really more paramount in America. I mean, it's more under the cover here. It's much more surreptitious in the UK, but it does still exist, and it exists widely. We see it all the time, and it's not nice. And I think it is because there are people who really do believe we don't belong. They really do believe that we're not part of the human race for whatever reason. And so, yeah, that's all I'm going to say for now. I'm not quite sure if this video will help understand that, you know, we are all part of the human race. We all bleed the same. We all bleed red blood. We all hurt. We all have families. We all have friends. We all work. And we're not really that scary. There are, like I said, there's scary black people, there's scary white people, you know, there's scary Asian people. But, you know, we are all one family, and that's God's family. And that's all for now.